Okay.
I'm sorry, sir. I'll have to stop you. I'm not getting any audio. I can see you talking, but I'm not hearing anything.
Yeah, same here.
Thank you for being here. Can you guys hear me now?
Yep.
All right. If that happens again, let me know. There's been some technical difficulties with my mic. So just let me know and we'll get it straight because it's important that you guys to hear me. So I'm going to give you 10 real quick reasons why a business plan is important. Number one, it helps with critical decisions about how you enter the market, what market you enter, where do you place your emphasis, who is your target audience, what's their age group, what's their geographical location. We live in a digital world now, so geographical location isn't that important in all instances, but in some instances it is. What drives their buying decisions, and so many other forms of what we call customer intelligence. Those things are important. Also, what is the entry strategy? For me, my entry strategies on my businesses are normally going to be low entry. My entry strategies are going to be low entry in the way of revenue so that I am able to reach a point of profitability as quick as possible. That's important because that helps in the valuation of your company. The less debt you have, the higher the valuation, things of that nature. And we'll talk about a little bit more of that as we move on. To iron out the kinks. No plan is perfect. No plan will ever be perfect. You are constantly improving on your plan as you learn, as you become more acquainted with your market, as you become more acquainted with your target audience, as you gain more customer intel or intelligence, you learn how your customer moves. And we are dealing in an industry now because of social media, because of
it doesn't do everything.
Okay, because of social media, because of the internet in general, what we're doing is somebody had everybody please put on mute because your background is coming in. I think that's Shalissa. Thank you. So again, there's that, avoid mistakes. Some of the mistakes that people make include there's no need in the market. One of the biggest problems that people have, or biggest mistakes that people have, is they create a business, or they come up with a business idea based off of something they're excited about, something they believe in, something that would just be awesome for them. And they don't do the market research. They don't conduct the marketing analysis. They don't look into the market. And sometimes there's not even a market for that. And what happens is, if there's no need for the product, there's no need for the service, you're going to have a very hard time selling it. And a lot of businesses tank because they fail to take a look at that. One of the things that I teach people when we're talking about developing an idea for a business, wherever you're going to start at, one thing you want to do is you want to identify a problem. Identify a problem or a need. I prefer problems because people will go out of their way to invest in solving a problem. Needs and desires come second. You know, you get on trends. People need something, they'll get it. Desires, I like it, I want it. I don't like to get into I like it, I want it type endeavors because people change. But when you start finding something that you see, okay, this is a prevalent problem. Who's solving the problem? How are they solving the problem? How many companies are working on solving the problem? What's the differences between the problems? All of these are questions that get answered during the marketing analysis. But if you didn't do one, you'll get started, you'll put money into it, and you will become frustrated because your products will be sitting in your garage if you have a tangible product, or you will have gone through all this problem and energy of developing a digital product that you cannot move. That's one of the things. Lack of capital is another issue that you can avoid if you do things right. Inadequate team. In other words, you did not recruit a team that bought in, or your team is inadequate in the way they work together. No chemistry, lack of expertise, so many other things. The competition is stiff. Again, something else that you would determine if you were conducting a marketing analysis. You would be aware of the fact that, okay, when I enter into this market, I'm going to be competing against XYZ, and these people have a major hold of the market. Now, just because someone has a major portion or percentage of the market, it doesn't mean that you can't enter the market. It means that you have to have a strategy by way you enter the market that sets you apart from them and offers a unique service. Normally, when you hear that term, it's normally associated with a term called a niche, meaning that I don't do it the way everybody else do it. I'm over in this little space and I do it like this. Only people who really want it like this are really going to find me interesting or find me helpful, but that's okay. By being in this niche, I eliminate the major market competition, and I don't have to find a way to compete because I don't have the budget on a marketing level to compete with XYZ company. So how do I enter the market? That's important. It helps you set better benchmarks and objectives. You can have an idea when you have a business plan of what your goals are going to be financially, in market acquisition, market share, and so many other things, to communicate objectives and benchmarks, to provide and guide to provide a guide for service providers. If you're going to work with someone else, if you have to have someone else that is going to be doing a part of that, you need to be able to communicate that to them. This is extremely powerful. Another way that it helps is if you need funding, whether you're going to go the traditional route and go to a financial institution, or you're going to look for venture capital, you're going to look for angel capital, angel funding, or whatever it is, you're going to need something that you can present to people who can that they can look at and say, okay, I can see how your plan is set up. I can see where you're going. I can see, you know, what you're talking about. I can see how you're going to enter the market. I can see where you're going to hang your hat and how it's going to play out. And I can either say I believe in it or I don't, but you're going to have those things. You reduce your risk by creating a business plan. There's, way more than that. Now, let's just look at 6 essential elements. Now, there are more than this, but I want to talk about 6 that I think everybody have. An executive summary, which I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. Your executive summary, I make it tantamount or equivalent to what's known as an elevator pitch. When you're learning business and you have somebody who's literally teaching you business, they talk to you about an elevator pitch. What's an elevator pitch? An elevator pitch is you just got on an elevator with the man who has the money to make your dream come true. You got until he gets off that elevator to give it to him and make him believe in it. So it cannot be expansive in verbiage. It has to be to the point, but it has to be able to attract their attention and keep their attention and make them believe it's worth listening further or looking into deeper. So your executive summary is the written version of an elevator pitch. It's what the person is going to read first when they open up and look at your business plan. Also, not only is it going to be what any person who may be interested in investing or joining your team or doing whatever is going to see, it's the first thing you see when you revisit it, because you're going to revisit your business plan often in order to gain a understanding of where you're at or where you're supposed to be at this point in juncture of your journey, to remind yourself where you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to be doing, why you're doing it. So many different things that you go through, and emotions and financial upheavals and disruptions and so many other different things that happen over the course of you running a business. This is a journey and it is crazy, but the executive summary is the first thing people see, but normally it's the last thing that is written. And why is that? Well, the executive summary is a summary of everything that they're going to see. So it's a summary of the other components and elements, and it's put there in a way that it makes them want to look and read further. It's the elevator pitch. Description and bios of leaders and executives in the company. If there's more than one person, everybody needs to have a bio in the business plan. If it's just you, you need a bio, and you need to make your bio stand out. This can be challenging if you've never done anything like business before. You don't have the resume as a business owner, but you have some level of expertise. If you're over 25 years old, you've done something. If you've been on your job more than 4 or 5 years, you have a level of expertise. If it's something that you're passionate about, you've read about it, you've studied about it, find something that stands out about what you've done in the industry you're trying to enter so that you can make an impact. So you want the bios. You want a description of your product and service, your services. That's immensely important when you start talking about what you're giving. Why is your product or your service important? What problem is it going to solve? Again, here's the thing. When you enter business, there's a 3-element component that is going to determine your success. Number one, are you solving a problem? Find a problem that needs solving that you feel you can solve. It doesn't mean that nobody else is doing it, but you have a unique way of doing it. And I'll explain that in a second. So you find a problem. After you find the problem that you're going to solve, then determine how you can do it at the highest level in quality, in customer engagement. Because I'm going to tell you something. Customer engagement is so important. People talk about customer acquisition. Customer acquisition is the front end of a business. It's how you get people in the door. That's not where you win. That's not how your business stays open. Your business stays open because you have a customer engagement arm that allows you to stay in contact and create an enjoyable customer experience that creates customer loyalty, and you keep your customer, and your customer keeps coming back for different products, escalating on the ladder of what you offer, and you keep them longer. That's how you sustain your business. But you have to have a problem you're solving. You got to do it at an extremely high level. And this is the thing that really sets you apart and eliminates a lot of competition. Use your personality and the way you move and think to create nuances in the way you deliver your service or your product that no one else can imitate. See, when you do it your way, when you do it how you're built to do it, it's hard for other people to emulate that because it's an authentic part of you. It's how you move, how you think, and it's so unique that literally people will become connected to it and not even know why they're connected to it. They'll be drawn to it and they can't get it anywhere else. They'll go somewhere else, but it just won't feel right. And so they'll come back. That's the thing that really brings in and creates this customer loyalty that I'm talking about. So that's important. So the next one is huge. It's your marketing and competitive analysis. It is the most intricate part and probably the most challenging part for a new or first-time business owner to do, because the marketing analysis is going to tell you who your target audience is. It's going to tell you what competitors are currently in the market, how much of the market shares each competitor holds, what the customer intel is. Customer intel is customer intelligence. What drives your customer to buy? What age group is your customer in? Why do they need your service? How can you relate to your customer? All this stuff is a part of this, and you go through this marketing analysis, and there's all these different questions and things that you have to come to. And the more detailed you are in your marketing analysis, the more you're going to be in a position to get funding to advance your company, the more you're going to be aware of what you need to do as you launch your company, the more effective you are going to be with dealing with your clients and your potential clients. And so that cannot be overstated. Then the development of a market plan. Again, that's something that if you haven't done it before, it's probably going to be something better outsourced, but you can definitely read into it. Here's what I tell everybody. If you've never done it before, it's probably blessed to get it professionally done. But once you have it professionally done, go through it with a fine-tooth comb, learn what was done, why it was done, ask the person who did it questions about why they did certain things certain ways, so that you over time learn how to do this. You don't really, if you're really, here's the thing, you have to ask yourself, what am I doing? Is this a one-off for me? Is this just something I'm doing because I want to do something different? Or is this something I'm passionate about? This is something I'm totally invested in. This is something that means a lot to me and I want to see it succeed. And then you have to say, okay, well then what am I willing to put into ensuring that I am successful? And successful means that you get it out there and you give yourself the best chance. Don't buy into all the things you hear, because I'm telling you, success may require several efforts. That's the truth about any endeavor. You may enter the market at the wrong time. You may enter the wrong market. You may not be completely prepared when you enter the market. There are a bunch of different things that can that can interrupt you. What you can't do is sit up and buy the idea that it's not for you. You have to ask the right questions. You have to do the research. You have to consult with people who have expertise in different areas that you are dealing with that is not something that you are intimately familiar with. And then we move on, but that's that. And so now I'm going to get into the meat of the matter. And I've kind of gone over it. So it's so important. You're going to be researching, recruiting. You're going to develop partnerships. You're going to understand your competition. Next thing, there are 3 primary types of business plans. There's a traditional business plan, which is pretty comprehensive, and it can be done in a number of different ways. And I personally write business plans for my clients specifically based off of the uniqueness of their entry into the market. So there's no generalization. It all depends on where they're at, what they're doing, how they're doing it, what they want out of it, and so many other things. But there's the traditional, there's the lean. The lean is just the meat of it. You know, it's a lot shorter. It is more direct, and it is, you know, when you're able to do a great deal of presentation by way of verbal communication, you can do a lean. When you are simply looking for something that you're going to be working with and only you can do a lean. The more you want to involve other people, the more comprehensive you want to be, so that when someone is viewing your business plan and making decisions about where they're going to be in the mix, whether they're going to be funding it, whether they're going to partner, whether they're going to be a third-party provider, whatever the situation is, if you're not there to answer the question is pretty much answered. So you want to do that. Then there are nonprofit business plans, which is a completely different monster, because funding comes from a lot of different other places when you have a nonprofit. So here are the things that come in a traditional business plan: the executive summary, company description, which includes your bios and all that, the marketing analysis, the marketing plan, outline the management of the organization. Again, this is going to be the list of the people who are going to have influence within the company, a list and description of your products and services, customer segmentation. Again, that's customer intel. What's customer segmentation? That is understanding what your customer does, why your customer want to buy from you, how are you going to service the need of this particular customer, and any other thing that helps you understand how to motivate your customer to come to you and get your product or service is going to be a part of that segmentation. And there are a number of different questions that you ask about that. What I want to focus on here, logistics, operations, and your financial plan. Again, here's this thing is, if you don't have your plan mapped out, there are going to be so many different cracks that you can fall through. And this is not something that you want to chance by half doing it, by rushing through it, by completely ignoring the process. There are people who do that, go out there and sit up and try to launch a business without a business plan. Now, probably have heard me say this more than any time. I will take a person with the right psychology and a poor business plan over a person with a good business plan and poor psychology. I believe psychology, the way you think about business, the way you think about money, the way you think about yourself, how you see yourself in the world, your viewpoint and perspective of life, the paradigm or the lens through which you view life is going to have a much more powerful impact than what you have on paper. But when you have the right psychology and you have a right plan, it's going to be very difficult to stop you from succeeding. So the goal is, with my clients, is to get their head right, but also get their focus right by getting them on the right path as far as writing out the business concept, the business plan. Let's talk specifically about the marketing analysis. This is going to be the meat of your business plan. This is going to be where a lot of your potential funding sources are going to really go and focus. Why? Because it's going to be full of statistics. It's going to be full of numbers. It's going to be something that a numbers person who is going to be your investor is going to look at. You have some investors that will go off of a hunch. They'll go off of a feeling. They'll go off of impulse. They'll look at your enthusiasm and drive, and then look at how much you put into what you're trying to do and see your drive and your work ethic. And that will pull them in and make them pay attention. But it is going to be, what does the market say? Is there room for you? Have you chosen the right strategy? And some will come to you and even say, well, hey, have you considered moving in this direction? Have you considered maybe altering this and making it, taking this approach? And they're investing in your opportunity is going to be contingent upon whether or not you take their advice, and you have to determine whether or not you want to take their advice. And again, having a business plan is going to educate you on what they're saying and what they're talking about, and give you a chance to understand why they may be suggesting it. But the marketing plan is going to examine your competition, examine how the market is flowing, how much money is in the market. You know, whether you're talking about $1 billion industry, a $500,000 annual industry, or if it's a very small industry and highly competitive, it's definitely not something you want to move into. You might want to think of doing something differently, or trying to generate a new market, which again will require revenue and having the right people in your camp and doing a bunch of things. But nothing is off the table if you understand what you're trying to do. And that's what the business plan does. So you're going to describe your company, and the way that you're going to describe your company is by answering two fundamental questions. Who are you and what you plan to do? Now, how you present that, again, is going to depend on your personality, your ability to communicate in writing, and a bunch of other things. And it is so important to understand that there's an expressive form of writing, there is a direct form of writing, there is a colorful way of writing, and you want the most direct, attractive approach as possible. You don't want to sound too formal. You don't want to go all the way around the world painting vivid pictures. What you want is to say, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is why I think it's going to work. These are the reasons why I feel it has longevity, and whatever else you're trying to convince someone in, and you take that approach. Again, we just talked about the marketing analysis. How big is your potential market? Oh, a SWOT analysis. This is something I also do as a consultant with my clients. It is your strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. Strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. What are your company's strengths? What are its weaknesses? What opportunities are immediately available? And what are the threats to the business short-term and long-term? And once you, like in anything, that's something that everybody should be doing about anything that they're going to engage in. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What are the opportunities? And what are the threats? Because when you understand them, you plan for them. You use your strengths to position you. You understand your weaknesses, so you operate with concern, care, and you bring in people who may be stronger in the area of your weaknesses. This is why building strong teams is so important. Your opportunities are the things you have to seize, and you need to know what your opportunities are so that you can seize them. And you need to know what your threats are so you can be aware of them, so you can build mechanisms to protect you from the threats, that you can be strategic in your movement so that you minimize the threats. But being aware of that is so important. So that is an unbelievable part of it. All right. Outline, management, and organization. That is where you are going to literally list anybody who's going to be on that. If it's just you, you're a sole proprietor and you're starting out small, it's just you. But you need to explain why you're in the business, why you feel you're there, what history you have, why you'll be good at it, and list as many facts about your history that make you qualified for it as possible, because that's what people are going to be looking for. They're going to be looking for the facts. They're going to be looking for things that are verifiable. Yeah, how you feel about something is great. I'm real big on generating anticipation and expectation and believing in yourself. I think it carries a great deal of weight, but that's primarily with you. People who are going to be wanting to know whether or not they're going to invest in you are going to be people who need to be able to see why they need to invest in you. The products and services. We talked about customer segmentation. Here are some of the things in customer segmentation. Where they live, which is not that big of a deal now, because I service almost all of my clients now digitally through virtual communication, the same way I'm communicating with you now. I have very few clients that actually come in and sit down with me. That allows me to literally have clients in Sydney, in Perth, both in Australia, in Ireland, in Frankfurt, in the several places in the UK, South Africa, Jamaica, and I'm able to do these things. I'm able to do these things because of technology. So geographical location isn't as huge as it used to be, but it's still a consideration, especially if you're talking about brick and mortar type businesses. The age range of your customer, that's going to help when you set up your marketing. Who am I targeting? What do they like to do? Where am I going to find them at? For instance, if you're creating something and you're targeting people over 40, Facebook is going to be where you're probably going to get your best branding. If you're talking about 25 to 35, Instagram. You're talking about under 25, TikTok. And you need to understand these things because it's going to happen. Common behavioral patterns, how they spend their free time, where they work, all of these things are going to matter because it's going to allow you to relate to them. It's going to allow you to build your marketing strategy and your marketing plan so that you can gain access to them and build a relationship. I can't stress how important it is to build relationships. Most of you guys are on here because over the years, you have watched me on some platform come almost every day and share information. And the information I share is free. I may offer things that I'm charging for, but the information I'm sharing is free. What I'm doing is I'm building a relationship. I'm connecting with you. And what you're saying is, even if I never buy any of his things, he's going to bring something to me every morning and he's going to bless me with it. He's going to encourage me. If nothing else, he's going to encourage me. And then I become that person that you look to encourage you. And then one day out of the blue, there's something you're looking to do that you may have just came up with, or you've been thinking about it. And all of a sudden there it is sitting there. And it's the thing I'm offering that day. The chances are, because I've built this relationship with you, that you've been able to live and cultivate without risk, because you don't have to buy anything. There's nothing that says when you watch any of my videos, you have to buy. It's like, hey, this is what I'm offering. If you want it, I don't do a whole bunch of pressure sale. Hey, mate, you want it? It's time to come get it. I'm offering it, but you get to come partake of whatever I'm giving at that moment at no risk. So now when it's time to take a risk, you trust me. Why? Because I've built the relationship. And that is a part of doing that. The marketing plan is what you're going to create based off of what you find in your marketing analysis. You want that in there as well. Logistics and operational plan is how you're going to actually execute your business. What are you going to do? How are you going to do it each and every day? And then your financial plan. Your financial plan is huge. Why? Because if you don't know how to manage your money and budget your money and set up, you are going to flirt with danger in it as it pertains to the financial health of your company. And then this is it. Let me tell you something. One of the fastest ways to reaching the status of millionaire is by launching a viable business. Why? Most people, when they think of the term millionaire, they think of a guy or a guy or girl with $1 million in their bank account. That's not how net worth is actually calculated. Net worth is calculated by the amount of assets you hold versus the amount of debt. You subtract the amount of debt you have from your assets and it gives you your net worth. Your net worth is what gives you your status in the financial world. So for people who are millionaires, they have assets that after you subtract their debt is the equivalent to or greater than a millionaire. So here's the thing, the average company is normally valued. The valuation of companies are normally valued by taking their annual revenue and multiplying it times 5. Now, there are different situations and circumstances in some cases, but if you can get your annual revenue up to somewhere around 250, 300, and you can reduce your debt, you can literally hit that status. Now, the beautiful thing about being declared of having a net worth of $1 million or even close to that is the freedom it opens you up to start doing other things financially. The freedom that it opens you up to do things financially. There's so many things out there that people don't understand because they've never moved in this way and they never moved in this vein. And a whole lot of people won't tell you these things. I share all of this stuff with my clients because I want people to win. I gain nothing by sitting up and saying, I know X, Y, Z, and you don't. I gain nothing by saying I'm climbing the mountain for the second time in my life, and I'm just going to look down and talk down. No, I tell people all the time, there's nothing special about me except I have pushed myself to go beyond where the average person goes. And I'm committed to being consistently invested in doing things in an excellent manner. I'm not perfect. I don't pretend to be perfect. I don't pretend to be better than anybody. And I'll help anybody who's willing to help themselves. And so that's what I ask people to do, is invest in themselves. Now, There are several different ways that you can go about this. Number one, like I said, for the people who are just arriving, we are recording this, so you'll be able to go back and you'll be able to watch the entire presentation. There are several ways to approach this. I have a consulting arm where I literally help people write their own as a consultant, meaning that you contact me and say, okay, I'm in this phase. What do I do here? What do I do there? Then you, after you finish each section, you give it to me. I proof it, I edit it, and I trim it up. That consulting is one thing. Then there is the I do it for you. And that depends upon a lot of things, and that varies. For anyone who wants to participate in that part of it, there are two things you can do today. You can either pay a deposit of $250 and it will be applied towards whatever we sit down after your consultation and decide, or you can hire me as a consultant right off the bat. And I've reduced the cost of everything. Anybody that is enrolled in this isn't going to even pay half of what I normally charge. And so you get an idea. The average business plan ranges anywhere, depending on what biz you have. If you have it professionally done, $5,000 to $25,000. There are some that go way over that. We're not talking about doing anything of that nature. We're talking about completely doing it, less than half of that. Consulting it, I'm dropping my $1,500 consulting fee to $500. But whatever it is, if you walk away with nothing, visit this thing, shoot me emails. I'll answer your questions, but I'm telling you that you want it done right the first time. I am going to, hold on. I am going to send an email out to each of you guys that will allow you to partake in the services that I offer. Most of you guys have emailed me in the past anyway. I see a lot of guys that I've worked at in the past in one way or another. So you have my email information, but if not, I'm going to personally email all of you guys the links to where if you want to either put a deposit down, which will hold your position again, because there are only so many things that I can do at one time. If you want to hold the position, you can. The deposit is $250. That $250 will be applied to whether you want me to be your consultant or you want to have and go ahead and pay me. And what I am thinking is I'm going to drop the full price down to 15 from starting at 5. Again, that's a lot for people, for someone if you've never thought about it. And what I want to do is make sure you understand it. So again, if I haven't been clear in this, because I'm talking a lot from my knowledge and memory, if I haven't been clear in this and you rewatch it, because I'm going to upload it and then I'm going to send you the link for that as well. If you rewatch it and you still can't get it, you just want to ask some questions, hey, reach out and ask the questions. If you want to bring me in on as a consultant, and that means you have some sense of business and you want to try to write this thing on your own, I'll walk you through it. And I'll do it for 1/3 of what I normally charge. If you want me to write it, I'll actually charge you what I would as a consultant, and I'll actually write it for you. And when I say I'll write it, I mean I'm actually going to write it, because I can't pass it on to the people who would normally do it for me because they charge more. So literally, this is me saying I'm building relationships with a few people who have trusted to sit in front of me and do this, because again, the people that I normally pass this through are going to charge more than what I'm offering to do this at. So that means I'm going to have to sit down and do it, but I've done it so many times I can do it in my sleep. We'll sit down, we'll have a consultation. I'll ask you the questions. I'll get the information. I'll set up the framework. Then we'll sit down again and we'll go over the framework. And then from there, I'll build it out for you and I'll get it prepared for you and I'll deliver it to you. That's the way it works. More people who are serious set up the time and prepare to do this because they understand the gravity of how much a business plan means. Again, I want you, even though I didn't charge for this class, I want you to get something that you can actually use. So again, if I haven't been clear in sharing with you why it's important and the basics of what you need, email me. And I'm about to put the email into okay, I just put it in. It's CEO@rickwallacephd.link. And I am going to here we go. For those who want to go ahead and pay your deposit, there is the deposit. And for those who want the consulting and you want to go ahead and hire me as a consultant to help you write it, I'm going to do this, but I'm going to send an email with all this out as well. But there's the information to that. Again, that email address, hit me with any questions you have. There's no charge for those questions, but to get it down and get it organized. And let me tell you something. Here's why this is important. And this is why I sit up and decided to do this, a couple of weeks ago, is as we enter into this economic recession or whatever you want to classify it as, depending upon how you look at it, what you're going to find is the people who are going to weather this the best are the people who are going to be able to create opportunities for themselves, people who are going to be able to see needs develop and be able to move in those veins, people who are going to be able to adapt, people who are, matter of fact, one of the things that George Bernard Shaw said at the beginning and the turn of the century was that literacy is no longer going to be the ability to read and write. Literacy in the 21st century is going to be the ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn. One of the things that you're going to have to do as you make this move is you're going to have to be able to do a business plan. And again, I am sitting here, this is not me bragging, this is just simply saying what I've been able to do over the last 30 years is I've been able to do launch 47 companies. Matter of fact, the first company is still in business, that's Master Fitness 21. I've been able to launch 47 companies. I've been able to bring all 47 to profitability using a business model that I consistently use. And that is understanding the market, coming into the market at the very lowest or entry level as possible, meaning that I don't require a great deal of capital to get my businesses started. I'm not trying to go in and compete with the top dog. I'm trying to come in and establish myself in a place where I can have an immediate impact and build relationships. And then from that point on, within a very short period of time, I've covered my capital, my initial capital investment, and now I'm in profitability. And from that point on, every dollar I make outside of my expenses is profit. And it's beautiful. It's not glamorous. It's not, hey, I've got a Fortune 500 company, but what I have is something that works for me, that allows me to feed and take care of my family and not have somebody dictate to me when I move, how I move, and what I have to do and suck the life out of me. Does it drive me and challenge me? Yes, to be a better person, because everything I do is servicing somebody else. And so I'm encouraging every last person, whether you take advantage of my services or not, that you really truly look into how you can move into a market where your skill set or your personality or your gift will allow you to meet the needs and solve the problems of people that these problems are going to exist whether there's a recession or not. So you might as well be a person that is going to be one of the ones that fares well and benefits from the downturn by learning how to serve people who and the needs that they're going to have during this time. And just take your thing. The thing is, there's nothing, I can tell you, there's nothing like waking up in the morning and knowing you're doing something you love and that nobody can take it away from you. That is what has sustained me in a very difficult time in my life right now. But it sustained me because I am getting up and I'm doing what I love. And nobody can take it from me because no matter what you do, there's a way that I can do it. You know, if they take the internet, I can go out and go to businesses and shake hands and do what I do. I can go door to door in residential communities and do what I do. It's about saying nothing's going to stop me. And that's the challenge that I'm putting forth to you. Find a reason to get up and go do something for you. It's nothing wrong with having a job. I tell people all the time, if your job is something that you love doing, oh man, good for you. If your job is taking care of you and paying you what you're worth, good for you. But there's still a sweetness about knowing that what you do, you control. And you should be working towards it. If you keep your job, you should have something on the side. That should never be a situation where something can happen and that one thing can totally destroy you. And so that's my thing for you. Again, anybody who wants to work with me, the links are in there. These are just the basics. Again, the deposit locks you in, meaning that the breaks that I'm offering everybody is going to be, locked in. The discounts are going to be locked in. If you already know, hey, I want this guy to be my consultant because I'm going to try to write this myself, then go ahead and do that. But the deposit is for any other thing. If you know you're going to do something with me, but you're not sure how far you want to go, the deposit at least locks you in. That link is in there. Again, if you have questions, please feel free to email me and ask me the questions. I know a couple of people I see on here that I deal with on a regular basis that definitely will probably be emailing me. And I absolutely love it because somebody emails me directly. That means that I've developed a relationship with them. It may not always be great because it might be saying, hey, I was supposed to get this and I didn't get this, or hey, that's supposed to happen. These are all real things, and it teaches you to be aware, and it teaches you how to engage, and it teaches you how to put your ego behind you and understand that your number one priority is the client, is the customer, however you want to refer to the people you're going to be serving, but they matter. And when you understand that the people you're serving are matter, you're going to put out a product that will speak of you and you will be proud of what it says. With that being said, look, I'm going to get ready to get out of here because I actually have a client I have to meet with in 10 minutes. Or do I? I know I got to meet one. I got to see what time it is. No, I got a whole nother 30 minutes. Okay, so I mean, it's 1:30. Okay, so I don't have to rush too much. But again, I want to thank everybody for jumping on here. A lot of you guys just jumped on today. I hadn't been really pushing it. I'm going to upload this and I'm going to send each of you guys the link so you can look at it. But I am really excited about the opportunity to work with some of you guys directly to set up and help you get your businesses started. And it's so much more to it than just the business plan, but the business plan is huge. And normally when I'm working with someone, I'm also pouring into them in other areas. That's just how I move. I like to share. And so when we working on the business plan, we may talk about the psychology. We may talk about where you're at right now. Why are you doing it right now? What's your why? All of the things that are going to matter when you really get into this, because it's not going to be easy. It's not going to just flow and never be problematic. It's going to require you to be committed at a level that searches deeply. And when you know your why, you'll push through it. On that note, I'm going to get ready to get out of here. Again, thanks everybody for stopping in. For those of you who hung around to the end, thank you. I will get the link out of the recording as soon as I possibly can. And I hope to be working with some of you as we move forward. On that note, Have an unbelievable day and an awesome weekend.